My name's Justin, here with Anchor Visuals. I have had 10 years of experience in the film industry, and today I just wanted to talk about gear and how to utilize your gear in a way that makes you money and that you don't have to go out and buy the latest and greatest thing. So, with over 10 years of experience, I have figured out that there's a lot of people that talk about gear, does it matter, does it not matter? How do you buy the right thing? How do you find the right thing? And I think it comes down to a few key things. What are you going to use the gear for? So for me, I started off in a church and we didn't have a budget. We didn't have anything at the time. They had Canon 5D Mark III and a Tascam audio recorder. That was our setup. And I think it was an 18 to 50 mil lens or something like that. Didn't really have a lot of lights. The lights that we did have worked well, but we didn't have a good studio setup, blah, 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 blah. So in that case, it was like, okay, how do I make this dynamic? How do I do this? We're doing interviews, we're doing all sorts of stuff, testimonials. And so that was one case. For this right now, I'm filming on my iPhone. That's another case. If you're making content for a business or a big commercial product, which is now what I do, then you have budget and you can spend a little bit more money. And so therefore, then you're looking at cameras like a Red Raptor or an Arri Alexa or something like that. It all depends on what you are going to shoot and what your intention is with the shoot. If you have a budget, then you can utilize that budget well. If you're starting out, then it's about, okay, what can I have my hands on? What can I use? What can I get? And how do I best utilize those things? So for starting out, one of the best things you can use right now, like I'm using, is your phone. Downloading things like the Blackmagic camera app or the Final Cut camera app on an iPhone in particular, are great ways to start. And they also give you a great way in to understand how you would utilize a real bigger camera, understanding things like the ISO and the frame rate and the shutter speed and all that sort of stuff. As you begin to evolve out of that, then I think it becomes, you want to look at lighting. The three things that I would focus on if I was starting afresh, if I was starting a business myself, would be if I had a camera body, would be lenses. Because lenses will stick with you longer than the camera body ever will. Everyone always says that, but it's a true statement. And lighting is also another big one. Learning how to light a scene, the 3 key lighting, or even like backside lighting for B-roll. A lot of times you want to have the sun behind you or off to the side, not hitting on the bright side. So that's a whole nother subject, which we can talk about, how to interview and how to properly set up those interview things and stuff like that. And the last one of those 3 is audio. You can get away with having a crappier camera or a crappier body or a less good or less ideal body if you have good glass or a decent glass as well. I mean, even if it's a kit lens or the kit whatever, that's a great starting point. That's better than nothing, and they're normally a solid piece of gear. But if you really focus on lighting and audio, those 2 things are really the things that you're going to see level up your production value. If you're selling to clients, if you're trying to find jobs to go out and do, whether it's interviews or music videos or whatever, the 2 greatest things are lighting and audio. Maybe not so much in a music video, but for interviews and B-roll and all that sort of stuff, the lighting, understanding those principles and what to do, that will change the game on how that looks and how you are seen. Even on an iPhone, if you get the lighting right, which this isn't a very well lit space, it's okay, but it's not great. But if you can get the lighting right and you have good audio, The rest of the stuff, you can kind of get away with them being less than optimal. So what do I mean by that? Really tap into, how do I light a scene well? Not just light the subject. Subject is a great starting place. If it is a scene of an interview, or it's, a business story or B-roll, look, light is better than no light. Light is better than a fluorescent light, or some sort of thing that's naturally put into buildings. You want to recreate and figure out, how do those things look? How do I make this scene look better? And what things will on camera look better than what I'm seeing in my eyes? There's subtle ways to do that, whether it's finding key lights or little, lights that you can put in the background or whatever. And then the second, audio, especially if you're doing interviews, or like talking head stories or anything like that. Audio is going to be a key factor. Even if it's just getting one of those little Rode Wireless Go mics, putting a lapel, trying to make the mic not exist in the frame, if that makes sense. Say for instance, I've got an interview, you could have a boom mic that sits up here, kind of out of shot, out of frame, that's pointing towards the person's mouth, chest area. And then you'd have a lapel. So for my shoots that I do now, that I'm with, the company that I'm with, we always have a boom mic and a lapel mic on our interviewer. Boom mic sits above, out of frame. Lapel is tucked away nicely, not being seen. If you can find and figure out how to put the lapel on someone, which is, lapel is just a little mic that attaches to an audio recorder or to a wireless system or whatever, like the Rode Wireless Go, Wireless Go 2 or Pro or any of those things. Those things will set you apart because you can sit down, looks like you're just interviewing, there's nothing attached, there's nothing going on, and they sound great. So to recap, lighting, big one, and audio. Those two are going to separate you out from everyone else. If you can learn those two things, you're already down the road ahead of most people. If you're doing video content, like marketing, in terms of like content creation, well, then there's a little bit more wiggle room. I still think, especially with video, with content creation like this, audio and lighting are huge keys. When you look at the big people like the Peter McKinnons, the Think Media people, even Mr. Beast or any of those dudes, they have great lighting and they have great audio. Now, it may not be world class, it may not be like movie scene or commercial, but they work hard to make sure things are lit properly and it sounds good. Those two things will make you stand out first and foremost already in a crowded scene with content creation. TikToks, all that sort of stuff, I would lean into learning how to use your phone in the pro. TikToks and Instagram and Facebook and all that sort of stuff, I would lean into using pro apps like the Blackmagic camera app, which is free. Works on both Android and I believe iPhone. And as well as that, if you are an iPhone user, I would look at the Final Cut Pro camera app. Those two are a great starting point. I think the Blackmagic camera app is definitely a bit more of a difficult learning curve to figure out and understand. The Final Cut Pro app for camera is a lot easier to understand. It's a little bit more intuitive, a little bit easier to figure out. Both of them, you can monitor audio, you can do all that sort of stuff. And the rest of it you can kind of piece together as you need. Do you need a tripod? Well, right now, I'm not using a tripod. I'm using a little clamp with a phone mount that is now mounted on my car steering wheel. Is it something that you need? No, not always. Do you need pro lighting setups and all this stuff. Like, look, finding something that works and is cheap and gets your foot in the door. Like I said, if you can figure out lighting, whether it's natural lighting in terms of how you shoot if you're outdoors in the sun, backlighting things, or using the sun as a backlight rather than shooting on the side that the sun's hitting. You would shoot on the side that the sun is not hitting. And then the other thing is audio. If you have those two things, it will make you stand out. You are able to go out, make great videos, make great content, make things that sound clear and look clear. And you will begin to start to learn and unravel the rest of the stuff as needed. If someone asks for something particular, like an overhead shot or some sort of lighting setup or whatever, you'll discover those things as you go along. But for right now, getting your foot in the door, does gear matter? My answer is yes, but it's not the latest and greatest. Yes, it matters, and it also depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do commercial work, trying to get your foot in the door with small businesses, trying to do stuff like, whether it's like tours through houses and real estate stuff, or interviews for brand stories for small businesses, or B-roll or whatever, those are going to dictate what you need. Those are going to dictate what you should get. And most of the time, if you're shooting on a phone, which is, if you're shooting for the purposes of it landing on a phone on a small screen, people are not going to realize whether it's 8K, 12K, 24K, an IMAX thing, or it was shot on a camera that only shoots 1080p or 4K. Those things, matter less. Is it a 10-bit or is it an 8-bit or 12-bit, like color depth or whatever? Like, none of that stuff really matters at the end of the day in this situation that I'm talking about. But if you want to stand out and you want to get to the point where those things do matter and those things can matter, then it's a matter of learning lighting, learning audio, and then the rest will start to figure out. The rest of it you'll start to figure out. Look at cameras like the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. It's a cheap camera. It's micro four thirds. So, learn what that is, how that affects the image. You're gonna have to look at getting maybe a little bit wider of a lens and all that sort of stuff. But it's a 4K, it shoots RAW, it has all the premium things that you probably don't need to use at this stage. You could look at older things like, like even a GH4, a Panasonic GH4. You could look at I still love the Canon 5D Mark III. Yes, the screen doesn't rotate. Same with the Blackmagics, unless you get the pro models or the later models. But the older models, yes, the screen doesn't rotate. You got to figure out ways to make it work better. So maybe it's you for your convenience, you want to look at getting a monitor to make it easier for yourself. Again, now I'm rambling, but looking at older gear, used lenses, used gear. But the two things, again, I want to come back to that will make you stand out is good lighting and good audio. If you can do those two things, you will already be ahead of the game. You will already be on your way to making incredible stories and incredible lighting that works well. Cool.